much for joining us this afternoon for this briefing on the upcoming visit of the Honorable Prime Minister of India to South Africa for the BRICS Summit and then onwards to official visit to Belize. Honorable Prime Minister will depart tomorrow morning for Johannesburg, where he would be participating in the 15th BRICS Summit that actually starts tomorrow, I believe, and concludes on 24th of August. Just to recall, Honorable Prime Minister had last visited South Africa in July 2018. That was for the 10th BRICS Summit, and then in July 2016 for a bilateral visit. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, he had visited India in January 2019, where he was also the chief guest for the 70th Republic Day celebrations. The two leaders had also met in June 22 in Germany on the sidelines of the G7 Outreach Summit, and most recently they spoke to each other just a few weeks ago. South Africa is, as you all know, the incumbent BRICS chair, and the theme of the BRICS Summit this year is BRICS and Africa, Partnership for Mutually Accelerated Growth, Sustainable Development and Inclusive Multilateralism. This would be the first in-person BRICS Summit after 3 consecutive years of virtual meetings owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are all aware of the importance that India attaches to the BRICS topic and consider it as an important expression of global multipolarity. India last held the BRICS chairmanship in 2021. For us, it is also a platform that can address a number of global challenges and also by contributing to building fairer, inclusive and open international architecture with sustainable development and economic growth at its core. In terms of program, upon his arrival on 22nd, Honorable Prime Minister will participate in the first event, which is the BRICS Leaders Retreat later tomorrow evening itself. This would be a closed-door engagement, and the expected agenda is likely to include discussions on global developments of concern and the role that the BRICS can play in addressing some of those developments and challenges. The next day, on 23rd August, Prime Minister will participate in the 15th BRICS Summit. The summit itself is structured into 2 sessions. One, closed plenary, that is likely to focus more on items pertaining to intra-BRICS cooperation, as also the reform of the multilateral system and counter-terrorism issues. Thereafter, there is an open plenary which would actually see participation of other entities and organizations that are associated with BRICS. This would include the President of the New Development Bank, the Chair of the BRICS Business Council, and the Chair of BRICS Women's Business Alliance. The participants are likely to deliberate on issues such as global economic recovery amid ongoing geopolitical challenges, sustainable development goals, something that would, I think, continue throughout the different sessions of the BRICS Summit, women-led development, as also addressing the concern and interests and priorities of the global south. The summit would conclude on 23rd, and on 24th, Prime Minister will participate in BRICS Africa Outreach and BRICS Plus dialogue. We understand that the host country, South Africa, has invited a number of guest countries from Africa as well as other emerging markets and developing countries to participate in this event on 24th. Partnership with Africa, how the partnership with Africa can actually shape and contribute to the development of the global south will figure as one of the items, important items in the deliberations on 24th. You are all aware of India's own views and efforts in this regard, which were very clearly and in detail reflected in the Voice of Global South Summit that was hosted by the Honorable Prime Minister in January earlier this year. These priorities of the Global South, just to touch upon here, are also reflected in going to be reflected in the upcoming G20 summit also. Given the fact that this G20 presidency of India will see the largest ever participation from Africa in the summit to be held next month. For the 15th BRICS summit, a business delegation from India is also traveling to South Africa to attend the BRICS business tracks meetings and also the meetings of the BRICS Business Council, BRICS Women Business Alliance and the BRICS Business Forum. After completing his engagements in Johannesburg relating to the BRICS Summit and the BRICS Outreach and BRICS Plus Summit, Prime Minister would travel to Greece for an official visit on 25th of August 2023 at the invitation of His Excellency Prime Minister of Greece. A ceremonial welcome on arrival in Athens, which would be followed by the visit to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where the Prime Minister will lay a wreath. Prime Minister will thereafter have a restricted and delegation level talks with the Honorable Prime Minister of Greece. Both leaders would also address key businesses of both countries later after the delegation level talks. Prime Minister would also interact with the Indian diaspora in Greece. Just to recall here, Honorable Prime Minister had met the Greek Prime Minister in New York last in September 2019 on the sidelines of the UNGA. The important thing to mention here is that the last prime ministerial visit from India to Greece was in 1983. So it is after a considerable length of long period of time actually that a prime ministerial visit from India is taking place in Greece. Previous high-level exchanges between the two countries have also included a visit by former presidents of India, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and also former President Shri Ramnath Kovind in June 2018. The Greek president had also paid a state visit to India in 1998, and then Greek Prime Minister had visited India in 2008. Greece is one of India's important European partners. It's a member of the EU, NATO, and a gateway to Europe and also to the EU market, and enjoys a privileged position at the crossroad of Asia, Europe, and Africa. Both India and Greece are not just modern democracies, but we also share close and age-old historical and cultural relations. Important elements of our partnership include defense and security, shipping, and most recently the elements relating to the migration and mobility are being given shape in terms of structured partnership between India and Greece. Greece has also been a strong supporter and a partner with India on issues of core interest in the UN and other international organizations, including their support to our permanent membership in the expanded UN Security Council. During the Honorable Prime Minister's visit to Greece, both sides will look to expand and diversify the trade and investment segment of cooperation, deepen and expand the defense and security partnership, infrastructure cooperation, shipbuilding industry, something which is a great strength of Greece and where the opportunities, extensive opportunity is there, energy, agriculture, education, and as I mentioned earlier, migration and mobility. The visit would give both sides an opportunity to discuss also the regional and global issues of mutual interest and help broaden and deepen our bilateral engagement. I would stop here, and if there are questions.